Hello, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you. Today we are going to be discussing how to hear and understand men better, right? And that's because when we talk to people and we're interacting with people, we get to see again and again situations where people don't understand men, and when men are saying something, people don't get it. I saw this reel recently that further explains what we want to talk about today, and it was funny, like extremely funny. Why? Okay, let me explain it. It was a discussion. So the man mentioned that this is how different it could be. Like, for example, a man could tell a woman that all he wants for his birthday is his favorite meal and just her presence, they alone at home. And the woman will say, oh, no, 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 I think I'll throw him a party, right? And so women get to always think beyond what we say, right? Women get to expand what we say, interpret it without borders, interpret it without boundaries, right? And this causes a lot. What causes a lot of conflict in relationship, what causes a lot of conflict in marriages out there is the fact that the two people don't understand themselves. They are yet to fully understand themselves. They are yet to understand each person's frame of reference. So today we are going to be discussing how to hear and understand men, because I believe everyone who is out there, especially if you're a lady, you need to understand this. You need to learn this trick to be able to have great relationship. Before I continue, I introduce our guest for tonight. I want you to please just drop in the comment section where you are watching us from. We would like to know where you're watching us from. I'm watching you from the city of Ibadan. It has been Ibadan. It has been cloudy all day, and we're having this rain and that rain falling every now and then. Okay, so just drop in the comment section where you are joining us from, or if you're watching this after the live, kindly also tell us. We would like to know the city you're joining us from. So tonight I have three amazing people that will be joining us. All right. Two of them are already in the studio. One will still join us later. I did share a little bit about them. And so you can check the description section to also get more about them, more information about them. Okay, the first person I want to introduce today is my Oga, the Reverend himself. He's the first person I want to add today. And Reverend, thank you so much for joining us. He is just everything. He is the is it what's that Yoruba word? Is it Gbogbo Nishe now or what? He's the he's the everything of everything. He's an author, he's a coach, he's a mentor, he's a writer, right? You in the description section you get to see all the extra details. He has his ministry, he has different companies, he does branding, he does marketing, online marketing, he does just a lot of things. And for us at the Alright Fashion, the greatest job we believe every man has, and every woman also have out there, is that he has a wife and he has children, and they have not yet reported him yet that for being an irresponsible man. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much for having me, Barrister. How are you today, sir?
I'm very fine. How your body?
Awesome. Awesome. That's great.
Okay. Yeah. Let me add the next person, right? The next person I want to add tonight is Oga Emmanuel, AY himself, right? And he works with men. In fact, every Wednesday he hosts the table of men. So he gets to deal with male issues a lot, right? So there are people who every Wednesday we're always having men on the table discussing men issues, because he's an on-air personality. He has his YouTube channel where he gets to also focus on things that affect men and different things. He's into real estate. In fact, these days Nigerians, wetin we dey do sef dey plenty. And the good thing and the good thing about it is you know that adage that says jack of all trades is master of none, but is far better than master of one, right? I may not be getting the full quote correctly right now, but that's actually the full statement is jack of all trades is master of none, but far better than a master of one, right? So we have people here who are right now. We have men who he's also married. He's married and he has an amazing daughter. So we are having men here. Let me add the last person who is Liza Express, the only lady on today's panel, right? We Fisaya Dio Samuel would have been here, but right now she's unable to join us, but that's fine. We are having Liza Express today. Thank you, Liza, for joining us. She is the sex therapist. She is
All these men, all these men.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you, thank you. Okay, for those who are watching us right now, we did say that you should let us know in the comment section where you are joining us from. Thank you, Faith. Thank you, Christabel, joining us from Anambra. Thank you for.
Ooh,
We have one Anambra girl here. I hope I'm pronouncing
I'm
it
feeling
well.
I'm feeling represented.
Eh, and of course, my wife, the only wife that I have. Thank you,
Before I call,
thank you. Okay,
before I call, you want to have
so
another one.
Justin, thank you for joining us from the UK. It's good to see you. So we are going to be having this gist, and the gist will be plenty. Will be plenty. We will just be going there and talking. Thank God we have three men because I am a man. I am a male man, and I identify as a man. And and we also have a lady here who would also be telling us of course she's a coach, she's a counselor and therapist, and she gets to work with men too, so she'll be giving us her perspective. So let me start with um Reverend Atiba. Allow me call you Reverend Atiba, although generally people know you more as Dr. Triple A, but allow me call you Reverend Atiba for a start. As we move, I will switch to Triple A. When this topic, when we asked regarding this topic, what was it that landed on your mind?
Hmm. Hmm. So many things.
Ha! Gone to his grave.
So many things. I tell you, so many things. But I
Hmm.
just realized that a lot of men. Number one, a lot of men are not speaking because of the
True.
culture. The culture
Yes.
is a major, is a major issue for us. A lot of people are not speaking
Hmm.
because they feel that, we've been told when we're growing up, men should not cry, men should not
Yes.
show that they're in pain, men should
Hmm.
not do this, men should not do that, you know.
Hmm.
So men don't talk really. They don't really talk about their pain. Today I was
Yes.
watching a movie and I was crying. And my daughter was like, Daddy, what's going on? I'm like, I'm crying. She's like, seriously? I said, yes, I'm crying now. She's like, hey, you're crying. I said, yes. Is there anything wrong with crying? That shows you what's going on, the culture and all that. So men should not cry.
Yeah.
Men should be the audacious,
Hmm.
kind of, they shouldn't,
Hmm.
show their emotions. They shouldn't show this and
Hmm.
that. And then that's number one. Number two is that, you see, people don't listen to men. It's easier to want to listen to a woman. You want to listen to a man. Who has the time? You as a man to man,
True.
you have time to listen to men. But when a
True.
lady wants to say something, it's
True.
inbuilt, we're wired to like, oh, let's listen. So
True.
those were the things that came to my mind, quickly. That number one,
Hmm.
men don't really talk. And that's why you see a lot of men
Yeah.
die in silence. I'm going to take
Hmm.
it to an extreme end and say to this. Do you know that the statistics of men that were raped, that the statistics is high
Yeah.
when they were
Wow.
younger, raped, raped
Mhm.
by women. No. Guess what?
Mhm.
When they come out to say I was raped by a woman, guess what happens? Liza is smiling, so you know what I'm talking about. So so it sounds somehow, isn't it? For a guy to say I was raped. So a guy
Mhm.
went to the police station to actually report that he was raped by some women. Guess what they did? They
Mhm.
laughed. They guy, go home. What are you saying? Go home, Joe. What's your problem? Ah, guy, you had fun now. The guy say I was raped. He say, hey, that's you have an idea of what is going on. And so that's the
Mhm.
reason why, when I heard this, I felt, this is something, we should jump on and let's talk about
Yeah.
this. Let's talk about the fact that men too can actually, they
Mm.
should be able to talk, and,
Mm.
women should be able to hear them. Let's speak, more than
Yeah.
anything, I always try to always get my wife to listen. I want her to like, hello, ma, please this is what I'm going through. This is how I feel right now. I'm not forming.
Mm.
This is how I feel. This is what I'm going
Yeah.
through. And I'll be
Yeah.
sincere with you. I've been in some very low moments in my life, but sharing
Yeah.
them, sharing those
Yeah.
moments has literally
Mm.
saved me, because I practically,
Sure.
opened up to share those
Mhm.
things. This is how I'm feeling right now. The fact that you are feeling
Mm.
something does not mean that is how it's going to become. It's a feeling, and that's one of the
Sure.
things that men need to understand. So you are feeling
Sure.
sad. You're feeling like a failure
Mm.
does not make you a failure. You're
Yeah.
feeling like the world is at an end does not mean the world is at its end. But we need
Sure.
to be able to share that and communicate that. And that's just where it is. So I'm just going to pause for
Wow.
that. And then, we get this
Wow.
thing rolling and then we jump into it. Thank you.
Wow. We are going to hit the ground rolling because right now I'm going to be coming to Lisa before I come to AY, because of course AY attends to men every week. Every week he's
Hi,
always hearing
Liza.
women problem. So
Hi.
so let me start with let me come to Lisa. Lisa, when you saw this topic, what was it that tickled you, that tortured you?
So Atiba actually stole into my notes from this week where he was talking about men
Seriously.
getting raped. Yes, I had just thought about that recently. In fact, it's in a
Okay.
podcast. We're on a sex trauma series
Mm.
at Liza Express for the next 12 weeks. And I had just done
Yeah.
a podcast on rape, and I was talking about how a lot of boys get raped. But when I saw the topic, what came to my head was the question. It's always a question. You already know, Barrister, right?
Mm.
For me, it was a question of why should a man speak to you? Like, who the heck are you? Why should I speak to you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the topic says how to hear and how to
Mm.
understand. For you to hear,
Mhm.
someone has to speak. Have you
Sure.
earned the right to be spoken to?
Wow. 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 I think no, that question for me is big, right? Have I actually earned the right to be spoken to? Have I? And today, why I was out today, right? So
Mhm.
and I remembered how I also went through sexual abuse growing up, and I shivered. Like, I've gone through therapy, I've moved past that. That was several years ago. But remembering it today, I still shivered. I'm like, and I have boys, I have two guys. So I'm actually asking myself that how safe are they? How protected are they? And the rest. And sometimes we even want to speak maybe to our wife, to our mother, to our sister, and we're actually praying to God, like, will they hear us? That first part of, will you even hear me first before understanding? Like, even first allow me speak, you first allow me talk with it in my mind, right? I learned a way to handle that. There's something I learned in dealing with that is helping me right now in dealing with those kind of issues. So it's a trick that I also share, and I may want to mention it now, is that anything that I want to say to a person, especially a lady, and I don't want her to interrupt the flow, or I don't want her to overinterpret it. I don't want her to interpret it beyond the way I want it to be interpreted. You know what I do? I switch off my data and I send everything as a WhatsApp message and put on my data. So before you start analyzing, I've finished saying everything that I want to say. So, Mr. Okay, Okay, why? I would like to ask you, what was it like for you when you heard this topic? What was it like for
All
you?
right. Thank you so much, Barry. Can you hear me well?
Yes, you can hear you well.
All right.
Yes, we can
Thank you
hear
so
you.
much.
Welcome, sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. When
Mm,
I saw that, I think the first thing that crossed my mind, two things came up in my mind: equality and
mm,
understanding. Those are the two things that popped up
yeah,
in my head, right?
mm,
Equality and
yeah,
understanding. And when the question, for me, I actually believe that when the question of understanding comes to play in a relationship, especially when
mm,
the relationship is not
mm,
about a man and a woman, there's a
mm,
problem of who is the lead, who is the follower. I actually feel that
true.
that already brings in the question. So the moment I don't
Mm,
understand you or I choose not to understand
mhm,
you, probably feel
yes.
that maybe your position is questionable, maybe you're not filling the
Mhm,
gap too well or
mm,
something. So when I saw the topic, which is how to understand and hear men better, the first thing that just
mhm,
came up is equality. This is a problem of equality, all right? Because already
mhm,
there's a question of who is leading or who is not leading, which is usually one of the things that we see in marriages these days, you know. And I mean,
true.
just like by we're in a talk show
Mhm,
every other Wednesday, and issue of
mm,
equity and equality is always coming up.
yeah.
He should do 50, I
Mm,
should do 50, all right? And so when we
mm,
begin to have some of these issues, right, friction
mm,
will begin to happen. No matter the
yeah.
lubricant, no matter the engine oil, or no matter what you begin to put in, the moment someone is
Mm,
already feeling, you should do more, you should not do more, then that question
mhm,
comes in. So before understanding for me, equality,
mm.
number one thing that came to my mind, and understanding came after, but we can't talk about understanding without talking about that issue of equality for me. So that's like the
Of
top of the
equality.
list when I first saw the.
Okay, wow, wow, that's fine. Thank you. Like we have all started with so much fire, like we don't ready to the run and the red. I was still talking with someone recently, and I said something that we need to pay attention to the male psychology, how men think, how men react, how men behave. In fact, one of the ways I said that was that you see situations wherein men want something but they don't want to keep that thing. Like for example, it's not all the type of girls that catch our fancy and our attention on the road that want to keep as wives. So you usually ask the question like, okay, why is that they are not keeping you as why is that if you say these are the type of girls men go after, answer the question, why are they not marrying those type of girls? Why is it that those type of girls are usually very single? Right? So it all comes down to men may want something but may not want to keep that thing. So you have to also understand that psychology and the rest. So Dr. Triple A, let's come to you, Dr. Triple A. And I would like to ask this
Okay.
question, sir. What do women and men need to pay attention to when a man is speaking? How should you listen to a man?
Hmm.
Mm.
Okay, so if I heard that well, you're saying
Mhm.
how should women listen when a man is talking? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, yes. Usually when people are listening to people, they get to put in different filters and they get to, Jesus Christ mentioned something. He said regarding the parable of the sower, he said, mind how you hear. And I have to look at that scripture again, how you hear, not what you hear, which means that how you hear can actually affect what you hear. So that's the question to
Hmm.
you now. How should women
Okay.
hear men?
All right. So first off, so I'm going
Mhm.
to
Uh-oh. Okay, so Liza, you were smiling plenty just now. Let me ask you. Let me come to you. Are you there, Liza?
That question is meant to answer. So, Sayo, I'll pass the baton to you.
I not get that.
Okay. Before doctor comes back into the room, just like Barrister Alright said, I think in every relationship already, whether boyfriend, girlfriend, whether husband and wife, somehow there might be existing issues. It now depends on the percentage of the issue. It could be 100%, it could be 50, it could be like the RPM of a car that goes up 1 minute and comes down the other minute, which usually is like every other marriage because there is really no perfect one. However, I would say that how should a woman, listen to a man, right? I would say listen to the issue on ground. I would say listen to the issue on ground. Because I feel like it is very convenient. It is very, and this is not just for women alone, all right? I think it is very convenient for every human being, to focus on where we started from, all right? Where we started from. Say, for instance, you did something painful to me last year. I corrected you. Maybe middle of last year, you did the same thing again. The end of last year, you did the same thing again. All right. And a similar issue is now about to happen this month, maybe this moment. It is very convenient for me to focus on how you have been behaving all along. Right. And I know it is very difficult, too, especially when you constantly correct or constantly try to adjust one person. Come on, a toddler. So someone is trying to fix you and fix you and fix you. So at the end of the day, when such a person is having a conversation with you, trust me, it is very difficult to want to listen to them because you have constantly tried, but they are not forthcoming. But again, I would just say for us to have a very healthy lifestyle and for us to have something called peace and of course, a very healthy conversation still, because that is still one of the issues that affect marriages when we don't listen to the issue on ground. So I would just advise that when such happen, how do you listen to them? Just calm down and listen to the current situation. Yes, your pain still exists. How you feel still exists, but listen first, pass your judgment on the current situation now, and then maybe you may now begin to make reference if your spouse will not call that nagging anyways.
Thank you. So Dr. Triple A. Okay, Liza, you want to take it off? Okay, Liza, let's hear you.
He used the word at that time. He said, don't try to fix them like a toddler. The average woman culturally and societally is raised to structure a place. Is raised to structure a thing. And so what that looks like in terms of chores, for example, would be to walk into a scattered house and then rearrange the house. But then who defines scattered? You or the owner of the house? This particular experience happened. This happened to me when I was about 16. I had gone to visit a way senior friend. Did I just say older senior friend? Okay, but it was a guy. And I remember being in the room and feeling like, why is this place messy? And I rearranged the whole house. When he walked in, I was like, oh my God, thank you. The house looks cleaner, but I cannot find my things again.
So you tried, so you fixed what was not broken.
Honestly, that is exactly, do you mind if I talk now?
Yes, please do, sir.
All right, go ahead. Liza, thank you for that. And thank you so much, Mr. Ayo.
Is it my network that is breaking?
I can hear you, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me? All right.
Yes,
so,
I can hear you.
It's interesting how, ladies want to fix the man. I'm going to talk from there. How they want. But you know what? Can I beg ladies to marry men that are already fixed? Okay. Let me backtrack a bit and bring that. Please marry a man that you don't look. You are not there to change his life. So you are not God. Don't come and say to a guy, I'm here to marry the guy that you know that this is how he is. You are okay
Mother,
with
your
it. You
choice.
can accept it for the way it is. So on that aspect, ladies need to get it. Don't, because every time you come in, honestly, you see that thing, it happens a lot. So I practically organize my things myself these days, not because nobody can do it, but the truth is, by the time you are done, I can't find anything again. And that's a big problem, But that's not the issue right now. We're talking about the fact that some of the things that are key, if ladies are to understand men and actually listen, if you're going to do that, please understand that the guy is mostly a logical person in his thinking. Now, it's not that he doesn't have emotions, but he's logical in his assessment of life.
True.
When a man is assessing situations, he's looking at every plausible, logical conclusion. He's not thinking emotionally. Now, I've met some few ladies in my life who actually think that way. So they're exceptions to the rule. So it's not all ladies that think emotionally. But so I've met some. But generally, women think emotional. They're emotional creatures.
Sure.
Most of the things they do, it's emotional. They are responding to, they are reacting to situations. Meanwhile, the guy or the man is practically responding. If a man is pushed to the point where he loses it, it's kind of like that means that guy, two things are happening. One, it's that maybe he doesn't have enough control over his emotions. So it's not, grown to that level yet. Or two, it's that, you pushed him to the brink at that point in time. So one thing is very critical. Whenever you're trying to understand a man, you want to listen to him. You have to understand that this gentleman is actually going to speak to you just exactly the way it is. Ladies should stop trying to add 2 and 2 to what a guy is saying. Stop adding 2 and 2 to what the guy is saying, please.
Well,
the guy is speaking.
In our defense,
You have made the equation more quadratic. You turned it to ax plus 2. The thing is simply A is equal to A. Okay, the guy says, Madam, I don't like your dress. The next thing you are saying is that, oh, you mean it's ugly? Oh, you mean it's is it on? You mean it is? No, the guy is not. He says, I don't like it. I don't like means I don't like. It may be fine, but I just don't like it. It's just simple. That's what the guy is saying. That's it. If the guy says, I'm not, could you mind? Could we eat something else? He's just simply saying, let us eat something else. He's not saying anything complex. So these are things that are, part of things that I see.
Lisa, I wanted to say something in defense. Lisa, so what is it that you want to say?
I'm not saying anything in defense, actually, to be realistic. I actually want to go back to what listening is.
Oh, great. Thank you.
What does it mean? What does it mean to listen? Because understand that this man and this woman or these men, because we're assuming right now that all of these conversations are between men and women, maybe between mothers and their sons, between boyfriends and their girlfriends, husbands and wives, but sometimes this thing is even between like fellow guys, right? The question is, what does listening mean to this individual? Because if the person you're talking to is someone who listens in quadratic equations, we have a problem. Like you were saying, you will say 2 plus 2, but this person has added A plus to it. I remember getting into physics class, 100 level, we're solving numbers. By second semester, we started solving alphabet. Hope the person you're speaking to does not solve alphabet, and you are speaking in numbers because wa'alawa. It is important that you understand what listening means. And if it's possible, if it's possible, that's why I recommend having like these elaborate question guides for people sometimes, is because sometimes you both need to define what a terminology means to two of you.
Sure.
Listening to my younger sister means I'm trying to help her solve a problem.
Yeah.
Listening to my younger brother means I'm guiding him to go and solve the problem. Listening to my friend is actually gist, is apropos. I'm listening.
Yes.
But I'm listening to different people because what listening means to them is different. So here's what I find, how I find out what listening is to a person. After a conversation, sometimes I send silly messages randomly that says, "Do you feel like I hear you?"
Yeah, I get that.
And one time my friend said, okay, it was in SS3. I was having a conversation with my crush, by the way. And we had this plenty conversation. And he
Lisa,
said,
SS3, you were crushing. Facebook, instead of you to face Why you
No,
were
but
crushing.
the guy was like super intelligent. It's not my fault. He was smarter than 24-year-old men I knew. Like, I wanted to even get pregnant for him. People do not even know the whole gist. Anyway, moving on.
Hey.
The guy was so smart. I felt like he was the last of his species. I'll just get pregnant and run away with the child. I had plans, I had ambition. Anyway, I remembered we had this random conversation, and he said,
Yeah.
"This is the first time I made a full sentence where you did not interrupt me."
Wow.
Hey, way.
Wow.
It was the first time someone drew my
Wow.
attention to it. I didn't know. Then
Wow.
in university, I had this other friend that every time I spoke to him, he would say, "Yes, mommy." That's how he used to alert me to say, "You're talking to me like you're my mother." Because I'm the first child. I am the commander-in-chief of the armed forces in my house.
Mm. Mm.
It's the truth.
That is where birth order. Sorry to interrupt you. That's where birth order connection comes into play, right? The role you already play out there, maybe in your family, the role you already play out there as a firstborn. You're already instructing people. You're already directing people. You're already giving instructions and direct. So you unconsciously brought that into romantic relationship, brought that into your social relationship and
into my friendships even.
Yeah.
Into my exactly. And mind you, this guy I am giving instruction to, the one that used to say yes, mommy, to correct me, he was like, is he 11 years older than me? I mean, 9 years older than me.
Wow.
But you cannot blame me. My immediate younger brother is almost 8 years older than me.
I want to quickly say something, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Please go on.
Hold your thoughts, Liza. Yes. Dr. Chukwe, please.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Okay. So now, this is quite interesting. So my kids love Flash. If you know Flash, so I watch Flash with them. I love it too. And one of the things that touches me a lot is the connection between Barry and his sweetheart, the lady. And you will notice that there's a bond between both of them. They connect a lot. So much that sometimes Barry does not even speak, but the girl can pick it.
Wow.
She can pick it. She reads him. She understands him. You see, there are some things I wish I knew when I was younger. Now I'm implementing them. Part of it is the fact that I'm building a home, I'm building a family, I'm building a tribe of people that can actually communicate with one another. Communication is the life, it's the blood of any relationship.
Yeah.
If I cannot communicate with my wife, there's a problem. If my wife cannot communicate with me, there's a problem. That's one of the things that I noticed, that I believe that we need to see. Look, we don't just arrive at that level. And let me be sincere with you so that let's make this fair. So Barry and the lady in question grew up together. Okay? They grew up together. So, I mean, you get what I'm saying. So they understood one another. The girl's father practically raised Barry as a son. Okay? So they grew up together. Now, so let's say that before we get to that 100, right? It's something we can work on. Communication is something we can work on. Okay? We can build it. So if you're going to, like Liza was saying, if you're going to make sure if you want to marry somebody or you are married to somebody, it just makes a whole lot of sense for us to make sure that we learn how they communicate, we learn their language. You know, Gary Chapman comes up with the concept of the 5 love languages, okay?
Right.
And all those kind of things. But there are other ways also that men communicate. There are other ways that women communicate. And we need to grow ourselves to that level, you know. And I believe that we can work on it by consistently talking, by sharing, by asking questions. All right. So before I came on here, I was with my wife. So we have a time for bonding. So I just put my hand around her, give her some few pecks, you know, and I was just asking her, how are you? What's going on? You know, we see every day. We sleep on the same bed. We wake up. We do things together. But let me be real with you, that you are talking to somebody, playing with somebody, holding somebody's hands does not mean you are communicating to them.
That's right.
True.
So you've got to create that time when you're like, Alpha, what's happening? What's going on? You understand? As in, you look eyeball to eyeball and you do this, you know, pal to pal thing. This, you know, this. No. Don't do Dr. Triple A for me now. Don't come and do Doctor. Don't do Reverend for me. What's happened? What's happened? You know, like my people say, what's happened? You know, share it. You understand? That thing. What's happening now? You know, and then you can open up. So, like we're talking about, we started with the fact that you can create that environment. But more than that is the fact that you can work on it. You can build it from scratch. If say, for example, we're talking to a family right now that they don't have this thing going on. You guys don't talk. You guys are not this close. I'm saying to you that you can practically build it. You can start it. It takes a decision, a unilateral decision. Both of you come together. Can two work together except they agree? No, they can't. So you have to agree. You guys have to say to yourselves, you know what, enough of forming. I'm not going to do what I'm doing on the outside. I'm going to be myself here. This is how we're going to do this. All right. If I do this is what's happening. If I do that, I'll tell you something very important. So then I keep quiet. So something happened yesterday. I was angry about something. All right. I was practically pissed about something. I was angry about it. And my wife just she practically just moved, just put her chest and just walked to me. And she just said, you know what, Alpha, what's happening? Chama, what's it gone? What's it? You understand? And she just cornered me to one corner. Me that was angry. I started laughing. I started laughing.
Reverend.
I tell you immediately, the whole thing went off. As in, the thing just I'm like, okay. You know, then we talked. Then we had a conversation. Do you understand? So when you get to know somebody to an extent, you know how to diffuse issues. You know how to handle issues. Because let me tell you this. Wives, please listen to me. If you're in a relationship, listen to me, ladies. If you're going to fully understand this guy, you must commit to it that, look, I want to know this guy. Because I've noticed that what happens to a lot of people is that it's like, you know, I'm sorry to say this, some people are in marriages where they are thinking, I got a second plan. I can japa. And because of that, because you're not going into it 100%, you're not giving it your all. Because of that, you're not, you don't get to see things that people who commit are going to see. You're not going to understanding the way a woman who is committed to building a man, to understanding a man, to staying with a man till death was part will do. So that's the problem there. You know. Now I'm saying it goes both ways too, anyways. You know, so the guy too is committed and he's 100% in it, and like, you know what, I'm going to stay with her till death was part. And so because of that, he's building his ability to understand her. All right, but if you are wanted to say something 100%, you got to develop yourself to that level too. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Ewa wanted to say something. So Ewa, say the thing you wanted to say before I ask you the question that I wanted to bring to you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doctor. I mean, I totally, and I think Doctor actually, already explains all of that, using, what probably happened to him yesterday and the way his wife just came into the picture. And I just wanted to say, number one, for those of us who probably rear pets, in this part of the world, usually it's about dogs. All right, we have ways of
I want to
communicating
buy
with our dogs.
rabbits.
Right? We have ways of communicating with whatever pet we rear. That's
Mhm.
number one. For those who probably have, helps at home, and no matter how much you want to respect your gate man, no matter
Mm,
how much you want to respect your house help or nanny, there's a
mm.
difference between how you communicate with them and your children, no
True.
matter how much you want to respect them. So I'm not talking about people who will throw words at them and make them feel, like the condition of life that they belong to. But no matter how much you still choose to respect or say whatever thing to them, there's still a difference between them and your children. So where am I going in essence? The Bible says that God created them in his own image and likeness, male and female, he created them. So I
True.
believe that we need to get to a point in our lives where we also understand that a man is a man, a woman is a woman. The
Mhm.
chemistry, the physics, the biology is entirely different. All right. And I
Yes.
said this, I had this, chat with my wife just before we started this live session. And I said, I
Okay.
used to wonder, why at some point, a time of the month, a woman emotion would just be all over the place. I am
Mhm.
someone, I find it very hard to hold things to my heart. I just find it very hard, especially life issues, right? So one moment I feel very angry, another
Mhm.
moment I begin to make excuses for you. So probably
Mhm.
all right to bash my car because all right is drunk, right? Let
Mhm.
me forgive him, drunk Joe. Maybe all right took my pen because he needs it, because I
Mhm.
just don't want to. I don't want that issue to occupy me so much, and I begin to,
Yeah.
react that way. So I used to wonder so much that why should a woman begin to react at this point of the month? So it took me a while. So I remember I used to say that to my wife a lot. Why are you being cranky? One moment you're happy, one second you're like this. And I just realized at the point that my health education study did not get to that point. Probably I missed it when it was going on, or I just choose not to grab it. Then I started realizing that they are just different kind of hormones, how they
Mm,
respond to issue at a certain time. So one
mm,
major thing we need to realize that a
mm.
man is a man. Physically, a man and a woman do not look alike. So if you
That's
see
right.
a man, you know a man. If you see a woman, you know a woman. And so when a
Mhm.
woman is speaking, for me, I just want to keep
Yes.
quiet because I know that I probably may just say a word. Say, for instance, excuse me, and then she's just going to be all over the place. I remember I had a level advisor in 100 level, a doctor now,
Mm,
and she just came to class one day. She brought her first semester result. She started complaining about people not doing so well. Some of us didn't even care because we were just so full. And you know what? The next minute she started crying. All of
yeah.
my life, I have never seen that. Even in secondary school, I didn't see my teacher cry. This is a lecturer crying because some people didn't do well. And then everybody started begging. That is a woman, all right? Not until years later did I begin to realize maybe she was even on her period. And that's why the
That's
whole
true.
thing just went all up like that. And it's not really her fault. It's just the hormones.
Mm,
And she expects you to
mm,
sober. And you people didn't sober.
mm,
So we need to realize that a man is a man, a
mm,
woman is a woman. Yes, we
mm,
live together as husband and wife. Yes, in this society, people are pushing for equality, but it will never
mm,
make a woman, pardon me, YouTube, grow genitals of a man tomorrow. Neither
mm,
will it make a man, begin to function as a woman tomorrow, no matter what the
yeah.
technology. I have not seen
Yeah.
a man pregnant and give birth to children. As long as I cannot get pregnant and give birth to children, I'm going to respect the one who can do that, listen
Yes.
to her, and understand that she's a whole being as she is, and she should
Mm.
also give it back to me as a man myself.
Thank you so much for that. I actually appreciate that contribution. The for us to understand people's frame of references, right? To understand that, oh, sweet. I know many people say they don't want that gender bias. They don't want you to be biased against them because it's their gender or because of their. But then we just know that, see, in communication, men and women communicate differently. Yes, some of us may have become experts in understanding the differences, and so we are able to now relate more with people of the opposite sex in a better way. We are able to now handle things better. But out there, with the populace out there, with the people we get to work with out there, there is difference, right? If I bring 10 people here, 10 ladies here, and I bring 10 men here, if I watch their conversations in groups, I will notice significant difference. So, Ewa, I want to ask you this question before I go to Liza, then I'll come to Dr. Triple A. So, the question for you, Ewa, is simple and straightforward. In your work with men over the years, what will you call the top complaints men have made regarding their social interaction and romantic interaction?
Top complaint that men have made. Honestly, I'm trying to wrap my head around it, and I have seen so many complaints. All right, I have seen so many complaints, and I'm trying to look at which top the list. Which top the list. And I think off my head, I'm just going to talk about presence. And I mean, Barrister Alright, we've said this over and over on the table of men on radio. And when I talk about presence, it's also very convenient for me to talk to men in that category, because I believe so much in women empowerment. As a matter of fact, before I got married, I'd always said that I can never marry a full housewife. If you're a lazy woman, I can never marry you. All right. And I've seen a lot of men complain, especially.
But full housewife, I would like to say something, that being a full housewife does not necessarily mean that the person is lazy.
Of course, yes. At times that changed, but at the time when I was growing up,
there was this belief that full-time housewives are lazy people.
Absolutely. The people I saw, as full housewives, are just women who just wanted to chill. And I used to say it a lot. Like I say this a lot. Like, the same way my father sent me to primary, secondary, uni, you probably pursued your postgraduate. It's the same way your father sent you to all of these things. So why then do you want to sit in the comfort of a man's house and just chilling? Just try something. All right. But again, I've seen issues of life, especially with raising children. And because the society automatically then says that men, you're supposed to provide for the family, even traditionally, that's what it is. And so you now see men saying, I would like my wife to just do something little so that she can take care of the children. I get to see a lot of that. I see a lot of men, and I think it's still upbringing. I see a lot of men being threatened by the growth of their spouse. And I feel totally uncomfortable. And I say this all the time. Doesn't it even feel good, Barrister? Right? Just chill at home, and your wife just bring the latest Mercedes.
I've always wanted to be like that too. I've always wanted to be like that. Don't forget, right from time. I've said it again and again, that I want to be a stay-at-home dad. I want to be a stay-at-home dad. My wife is the career person. My wife is one that was going out there. Me, thank God for post-COVID reality, so we can make money from home, working from home and the rest. But if you ask me deep down, right from the year 2005 thereabout, I've always said I wanted to be a stay-at-home dad. I want to be to let my wife be doing everything. I want to be spoiled and pampered. I was raised the firstborn. I was raised the first son. I don't tire. I want rest. I
think it feels entirely good, especially as a man, if you invest so much in your in your partner, saying for instance that is the wife of Dr. Triple A. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And she's doing so much, and she's doing so well. Can you imagine how good? Like that? I don't know how other men feel, but trust me, I am so going to feel very good. Hear that. That's because I am growing and you are growing. I see this issue because children now get into the picture. But not just children. I also found out that insecurity of some men, maybe what you're also doing, maybe you are, of course, infidelity is in the mix for you. And then you're wondering, maybe your spouse is equally doing the same. So that's like one of the top of the issues. Unfortunately, we live in a world where it seems like a lot of men, now agree for their wives to fly and do stuff. But Barrister Alright, the kind of messages we read on the table of men, it seems like it's still a thing of the front. A lot of men are still struggling. A lot of men are still struggling. Maybe on social media, it looks like the best. Like, that man is supporting the wife. Trust me, they send us emails. we read it on radio, and we still find out that they are struggling. So yes, I mean, answering your question, I think that's like going to be like the top of it for me. And sometimes when I read these messages, I still get shocked. You know, I get when you say, oh, she's done this, I sponsored her to take a postgraduate, she went to this to do that, and I'm wondering, so you want her to get all of this, you know, education, whatever, and just stay and be frying, you know, omelets and pancakes for the children and be selling fabric from home? Not saying fabric selling is bad, all right, but because you are the one limiting her.
Like my wife that made me pancake. My wife made me pancake for breakfast Saturday morning. I've not gone past that.
You know, she's not the one choosing to be that thing. You're the one trying to corner her into that place. So I believe in, you know, allowing women to fly, you know, and when you support them, trust me, it's going to be a win-win after all. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, Dr. Triple A will soon run off because he has another meeting, and of course we have just about 9 minutes to go. So I want to hear from you, our Oga Dr. Triple A. Now you're a coach, you're a mentor, you're a counselor, and interestingly, you're also a pastor of a church. So I'd like to ask you, sir, what are the top complaints men have brought to your desk, to your email? What is it?
Top, let me hear that again. The top what?
The top complaints that men have made regarding women, their relationship with women.
That's a magic word. Okay, so number one thing that men complain about is sex. Men see sex as food. Let us say it the way it is. Forget it. Sex is food, man. Sex is like air.
I don't understand. Why are you mentioning sex and Liza is the one getting tickled?
I wonder.
I don't know. I don't understand. Anyways.
Why do you think I chose a career?
What I'm saying is, number one is sex. Men complain about sex a lot. You know, my pastor says this. My mentor, Dr. Abafemi Oduwole, says this often. He said, in over his many years of counseling, in fact, that was what helped me also. That knowledge really helped me. He said he had been able to solve a lot of problems by simply this. When a man and a woman comes to his door, he said the first thing he does, and he works in most cases, 90% of the time, he will tell the man, he will collect, Mr. Man, give me your purse. He will collect the man's purse, take all the cash in it, give it to the wife, and tell the wife, go home with your husband, go and have mind-blowing sex with him. He said he discovered that solves a larger percentage of the problem in marriages. Over the years, that's the problem. She's too busy to give me sex. She only gives me sex once. I mean, we have sex once a month. I'm getting crazy. Girls are on my neck. They are killing me. They are shaking their bum. In fact, they are putting their chest into my face. These are the major complaints. Number one complaint of a man. Number two, respect. A man's life is respect. Everything about a man is built around respect.
Yes, true.
I tell women, I say, please, in the name of God, don't marry a man you cannot respect.
Simple.
For your own good.
Just simple.
Because
as simple as that.
he is a Christian man, you will still try. If he is not born again, you're on your way out. A man has ego. His ego is plain and solid. You know, recently some time ago, I had to teach about honor, the culture of honor. People don't understand honor. Honor means that you have regard for somebody, even when that person messes up.
That's right.
Women need to understand this, that you need to honor your husband. There are times he will make some bad decisions. You need to honor him. Sure. There's a way to tell him in a very nice way that, uncle, you are wrong. So men respect is natural. It's just a thing for the man. So please honor him, respect him, submit to him. These major things, those two, men are complaining about it. You see, every other thing, she can't cook, and she can clean. She can't clean. All those ones, they are just secondary offshoots of those two. Number one, again, sex. Number two, respect. Respect the man. And I believe that God knew this because God created men anyways. That's why he said, through Paul, he said, wives, submit to your own husbands. And that's the reason why I say to women, please, don't marry a man you cannot submit to. Don't marry a man you cannot respect. Wives, submit to your own husbands. And then he says, husbands, love your wives. Because he knew. That's the major problem. Before a man can love a woman and commit to one woman, it takes grace and it takes commitment, it takes a decision, intention.
Sure.
But women submit to your own husband because he knew that women find it difficult to submit. So it's a major need for a man. Number one, again, sex. Number two, submission, which is respect.
Okay, I like that.
And those are the two things I tell you.
I like that and the rest. Before I come to Liza Liza, I remember when it comes to this submission issue, there's a simple way that I try to explain it to women and I explain it to people out there, because I've also had a man who asked me, must the man be the head of the family, right? Must the man be the head of a marriage? And I said, well, it depends on who you are. If you are a Christian and you run your life by Christian principles and you run your life on Christian doctrines and the rest, then you will have to follow that template. But if you're not a Christian and you want to, or even if you're a Christian, choose to try other options, that's fine. That is good. That is you, right? However, I'm going to follow the general template, as it were, which is working, which works, and the rest. And I said this is what every team has a captain, people of more than one person, and they don't have a team leader. There's usually a team leader. There's usually somebody who calls the final shot if there's ever conflict, right? We all contribute. We all make our different contributions. But when it comes to
What's going on? Is help there?
Hello, Barista, are you still here? Barista, all right, can you hear me? Oh, I want to believe we lost him there. I want to believe we lost him there. So we'll just chill a moment. Hopefully,
I think we lost him. I think the network took him out. So yeah, basically, so I think like what you were saying, sir, basically it's just about the fact that we should understand what works for us. If you're a Christian, the template is clear. If not, we use what works. But you see, I've seen all kinds and I've heard all kinds. And, all of us just need to understand these things and just work with it very well, basically. I don't know. What do you think?
I think one other issue that I see, especially with understanding, usually is I think culture in itself has contributed a lot, to these things. And somehow, especially with the way children are being raised in this part of the world, and I think those who are older than 30 or even 20 probably experience that, either male or female, with the way we're being raised, And so at the end of the day, men are expected to behave in a certain way as a child and, becoming an adult. Women are expected to do the same. But the truth is, even for children, you see that if you have a male and a female, you see your boy probably has some qualities. Maybe these are things that traditionally women are supposed to do. Say, for instance, he can clean well, he can cook well, but when it comes to something physical, he might not be that active with it. There are ladies on the flip side that are very active with anything being physical. And so when people find themselves in marriage, right, you expect that, oh, my husband should be able to do this thing. As a matter of fact, I've said it a few times. My wife taught me how to put on the generator. All right. And I grew up in a home where we turn on generator every night. So it should bother anyone why I do not know how to turn on the generator. But trust me, it didn't even really cross my mind. I didn't like it for anything. I like any other thing, but when it comes to things like that. And so when I got into my own home and we now have a generator, it now became a thing that how will I now begin to see my wife turn on the generator? So I said, babe, come and teach me how to turn on the generator. So what I think is when you find of married people, especially people in a relationship still, or younger people in marriage, there are things that you can show your spouse, especially for women. So you think they should know how to do it. Right? How come you don't know how to do this thing? Men out there, even our neighbor, even our days can do this thing. That is the beginning of problem. All right. You begin to compare them. And the moment you begin to compare, your mind begins to just, go all over the place. So I say, show them, right? Because I think that's another major way of communicating. You show people when you see that they can't do something, or there are certain things you expect them to possess that quality. Just show them, all right? And I think a lot of women should learn how to do that, rather than go back to place of work. Maybe there is a guy at work that you are now so much into and do all of these things. So you now even prefer to abandon that guy. If my husband, I can't even do anything. You begin to talk to that person, your mind begin to go 30%, 20% off the marriage, and it's already crumbling. So I think that's another key way of communicating. Sometimes it's not about verbal communication. We know all of these things. It could be non-verbal. There are other ways of communicating. Show them how to do it. When you do it, married people know this thing. You are in the kitchen, she is not there. Somehow, you guys are friends. She's going to be bored and would just come and join you, and you begin to say, this is how to cut onions. This is what you put first. I don't think the person is not a go-to. I know they can be very difficult people, right? And difficult, not just being difficult. You marry a man at 35 years or 52 years, you don't expect that person to change overnight. After all, they didn't clock in one day. The same applies to a woman. She didn't clock 29 a day. So you probably have to calm down. Time. That is why there is a vow called for better for worse. Even I said recently that we don't realize how tough that vow is. We jumped into the swimming pool of marriage. It's such a big deal, right? It's such a big deal.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I do not intend to keep you guys longer.
I'm going to be on my way out soon, but let me just drop this finally. My brother, my dear brother was saying, I want to say this, that it's very critical that we get this. When it comes down to it, when it gets down to it, all right. Basically, what works is that each family, the couple, should actually just decide, this is how we want to do things in our home. This is how we want to run things. We want to communicate this way. We want to talk this way. That's why, more than anything, please marry your friend. Marry a friend. It works powerfully. I just believe strongly. Marry somebody who's ready to grow with you. Marry somebody who's ready to work with you, who's ready to climb up the ladder with you, who's ready to, you guys can hold your hands. You're not ashamed. I love what the Bible says in the beginning. It says they were both naked and they were not ashamed.
True.
What does that mean? It means a lot. But primarily, I want to say this, that, both of them just think they don't get shame. They just saw one another and they loved one another. They were fine. There was a level of vulnerability. They could rub hearts together. They could share things. they could like, who fat now, now. Like some people might try. Who fat now, who fat? Who's that? Is it you?
Now who mess? Who mess?
You could play with it, and you're just good. So that's what we're saying. I have a couple. There's a couple that I know. They're so funny. You just hear the husband say, "Who mess? Who mess here? Who mess here? Who mess here?" Say, "Namio." I mean, they're just funny. That's how it is. They were naked, but they were not ashamed. So in your home, decide, commit, and that's it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We appreciate your contribution. We appreciate you spending that time with us and the rest. And this is also, I don't want to take all of your night because you're all family people and the rest. So I want to hear from Liza. What are your final words?
The internet has decided to mess up this live session for me today.
Sorry. Welcome to Nigeria.
It's echoing. Can you please mute your mic? It's echoing. Okay. I was speaking earlier about listening, because we are having this conversation right now. We're talking about just romantic relationships. But if you cannot listen to yourself, like, can you even listen to your own thoughts? How can you listen to someone else? If you're talking about listening to your romantic partner, do you even listen to your friends? Do you listen to your family members? Or do you just assume? And so I was saying it's important to know what listening means per person, because that's what listening is. If you're talking to someone who is afraid that you will leave them, they expect you to listen to them with rapt attention, because that's how they know you're present. Otherwise, they would step back into their anxiety. If you're listening to someone who is depressed, for example, they don't want you to listen to tell them that they're depressed because they're not necessarily telling you of the solution. They're going to be telling you of a journey. Listening is a trip. It's a full trip. It's a whole, in your head, just tell yourself it's a road trip you're about to go on, because the thoughts the person is sharing did not start now. I was talking to someone recently, and I was saying a quote. In fact, it's part of the reason I realized I don't post quotes anymore. I don't post my quotes because my quotes are usually a journey. It's maybe a 2-hour teaching, and then I give you one quote, and you just carry the quote and go away. You don't know where I'm coming from, so you will misapply it.
Right.
The Bible speaking was talking about how God will be angry with prophets who preach other prophets' messages. And at first I was like, plagiarism should not be so deep that God will want to finish these people. But then when I paid attention, I realized to preach the right sermon to the wrong audience, and you will spoil their life, because it's not for them. And so as you sit with this particular man, I hope you know it's not your ex you're talking to. You can't be listening to your ex in his voice. You can't be listening to your father in his voice. And so when my friend told me this is the first sentence I'm making where you don't interrupt me, it occurred to me for the first time that I was growing up in a place where nobody used to let me speak. So every time I spoke, I was always in a hurry to speak before someone would tell me to shut up. So I was always speaking from anxiety. Whenever I find someone who listens to me, I could talk for 6 hours. It's not the person's fault. I'm telling you all the things I should have said in 6 months. I'm trying to say everything now that there's somebody who is listening. I know what it means not to be listened to. I know what it means to talk to people and they don't hear you. I used to have a particular family member that when she started to you, you're looking at the ground. I'm talking to you and you're not looking at my face. I'm talking to you and you're disrespecting me, you're looking in my eye. I'm like, ma, where do you want me to look? The ceiling? Because even if I look at the ceiling, you will have a problem with it. We need to understand that we have a listening pandemic going on. We just don't know. People don't listen. People are not present. And in order for you to listen, you must be present with the person in body, in mind. Let me not say in spirit, but you have to be present. To be present means I'm not thinking of my mobile phone, not because I don't have things to do on my mobile phone. All I have might be 2 minutes. And you can listen with your body. You can listen with your body. Like if I'm talking to you and your body is not listening, it will show. There's a courage of the person who is listening. It's not just looking in my eye. It can be looking in my eye and it looks spooky. But there's a way I listen, there's a way I lean in, there's a way I focus on you that says to you that every word coming out of your mouth is important. So when you listen to a person, you must listen like what they're saying is important. In order for you to understand this man, you must hear him. In order for you to hear him, you must listen. In order for you to listen, you must be present. You can't be present with the problems. You have to be present with the man. You can't be present with your assumptions. You have to be present in this room. You can't be present in last night's conversation on the bed. You have to be present in this conversation right now in the chair. If you people are fighting, you cannot be. You people were having good time and you said something wrong and you're trying to apologize. You cannot be present in the moment before the fight. When it was good, you can't be present in the. You can't. I'm serious. Before we had a fight, we were having fun, watching a movie and we're laughing. Issue, and I'm trying to go back to the moment before the fight. No, that's not how it works. Because the fight happened. You have to be present in the fight, as uncomfortable as it is, and then go beyond it.
I get that.
So you don't hear a person except you are present with them. I think that's all I want to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Liza Chuma. I like that your new surname, Chuma. I like the sound. So
my father's fine name. My father's fine name that picked up sense.
So, AY, sir, what will be your final words to us? What will be your final words to us in on how to hear and understand men?
Liza said so much, Liza said so much. I'm just going to say two things. Number one, I say this all the time. Communication is when you speak and people understand. Probably because I'm a communication specialist, I kind of understand how communication works. It is when you speak and people understand you. The moment you begin to say a thing and people do not understand you, you are not communicating. That is number one. You must begin to speak the language that people understand. However, they understand it. I have met people who want to be addressed differently, all right, and you find them in a mix. So you work with a team of a 7-man team. Not everybody on that team want to be addressed the same way. But if you are the lead, you probably have to find a way to address everybody. For parents, I think parents understand this more. Because if you have 4 children, you understand that not all of your children want to be spoken to the same way. So communication is when you speak and people understand. When you begin to communicate with your partner, your spouse, and you see that they don't understand, all right, maybe you need to change the style. All right, maybe you need to change the style. But before you change the style, how did you even discover first? Number one. Number two, I'm going to take something and join it together with what Liza said. What just said and what Liza said. Please do not marry somebody that you do not enjoy communicating with. The moment you begin to get bored with somebody that you intend to spend the rest of your life with in 2 minutes, you think they are not making sense enough, you think you are omniscience and your home sense is better than theirs, they are not married to them yet, please protect yourself. If you're already married to them, maybe you can now begin to learn communication. However, do not get married to somebody that you do not enjoy holding a conversation with. Other than that, if you're going to live years, you're going to die of boredom. I can assure you. Thank you so much, Barrister.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Dr. Triple A. Thank you, Liza Chuma. It has been amazing. I remember something I learned in my 100 level that says that communication is a lubricant. Communication is a lubricant in the wheel of every relationship. And that's just it. We have to pay attention to hearing our partner, listening to our partner, hearing what they say, and not try to interpret it beyond what they are telling us. people trying to interpret what we have not said, right? If a man says this, that's why many times when people come to counseling and they tell me what the man have said, they tell me how the man behave. I like, this is clear. What this person is saying is clear. It is loud and clear. Why are you not just hearing it? Why are you, oh, I think he's trying to say, I think he's trying to. No, don't think he's trying to. First of all, interpret the pure data that you have. Next week, Thursday, is going to be another amazing time. We'll be bringing other amazing people on. Your counselors is going to be very beautiful. And the reason why I want you to subscribe right now, if you've not yet subscribed, is because next week, Thursday, 9 p.m. Nigeria time, we are going to be hosting some couples. We are going to be talking about why you should consider finding love outside your country. Why you should consider finding love outside your tribe, outside your state, and outside your country. So we'll be hosting some couples. We'll be hosting some interracial couples here live, 9 p.m. Nigeria time, next week, Thursday. So subscribe to our YouTube channel right now. Thank you for joining us, and share this video with your friends so I get to learn the same things that you are learning. My name is Earl, and I'm all right, and from the ancient and modern city of Ibadan, I say you rock.